Who's in a relationship? Title of the story is Girl and 25-year-old female banged her tattoo artist 53-year-old male and got hepatitis B. Now this is serious business here because hepatitis B is an STD that you don't hear a lot about. It is a virus, so it can't be cured with simple antibiotics. It is something that typically does go away at some point on its own, however. Some people can have chronic condition that lasts for years and years and years, and it can cause liver damage, so it's a very serious STD. So let's get into this story, okay? Here goes the players in this story army. Let's call me Adam, 25 male, my girlfriend. Let's call her Eve, 25 female, so he's got the Adam and Eve couple going here, he's best friend. Let's call her Kate, 25-year-old female, Kate's boyfriend. Let's call him John, 25 male, and the tattoo artist. Let's call him Frank, 53-year-old male. Eve and I had been together for 15 months and had a great relationship, so great. I was considering proposing on Valentine's Day of 2023. Now again, this guy, as I've said in previous stories, he's really jumping the gun here, because if he's gonna marry this girl, was thinking about proposing in 2023, early 2023, he's with this girl for less than 2 years. So he really doesn't know her, and you're gonna find out he definitely doesn't know her as we get into this story. We met playing sandlot volleyball. Sparks flew day 1, and by day 2, we were screwing like horny rabbits. At first, it was just lust, but after about 90 days, both of us came to realize we were deeply in love with each other, and were basically inseparable from that point on. So you couldn't separate these two horny rabbits. Eve is beautiful. She's toned, has a respectable job, she doesn't drink, do drugs, or smoke, and barely uses social media. She also likes to cook and clean, and attended church every Sunday. I really thought I had found the love of my life, and the woman I would marry, have kids, and grow old with. Now, I'm not a proponent of marriage, as you've probably gathered from my previous videos. But on the surface, now this woman seems pretty solid so far. In September, about 14 months into our relationship, Eve told me that her friend Kate had gotten a small tattoo on her upper leg in the bikini area, and she wanted to do something similar if I was agreeable. I don't care for tattooed women, but I'm okay with small, tasteful tattoos, so I agree. And for me, I kind of feel the same way. I don't like, overt tattoos, these big body tattoos. But tattoos here and there, they are kind of sexy. I have to admit, she and I went to the shop and met with Frank, the tattoo artist who did Kate's tattoo. Now this photo I've got here is a stock photo, but based on his description, sounds like this guy kind of looked like the guy that I have here in the stock photo. Frank looks like an aging pirate, with a rough, scarred face, weathered skin tattoos, and piercing over a good portion of his body, a wrinkle, bonding head, and a Buddha-like belly. He picked out a tattoo of a male rose and wanted it on her side just above her bikini line, and I found a stock photo that was pretty close to that. I gave the thumbs up. Frank wasn't busy, so he said he could do it on the spot if she was ready. He had her change into a robe and keep a towel wrapped around her juicy private areas while he worked, and I watched and held her hand. All how sweet. The whole process took about an hour. Frank was very professional, and the final product looked great. I paid for the tattoo. We left the shop very satisfied customers, and I enjoyed seeing that tattoo when I visited Eve's southern regions. It really turned me on for some reason. Yeah, it really turned you on when you went down there to those southern regions, especially when you moved over towards center and down a little bit. After a couple of weeks, Eve said she wanted to add to the tattoo with another male rose and a ribbon. I told her the tattoo was beautiful as is, but I was fine if she wanted to add to it. She scheduled an appointment with Frank on a day where we both had the afternoon off, as she didn't want to go alone, as she thought Frank was a little creepy. Unfortunately, something came up at work, and I could not go with her to the tattoo shop. She was going to cancel the appointment, but decided to keep it as Kate was able to attend with her the day after Eve got her tattoo. I got a call from Kate on my lunch out. Kate, her boyfriend John, Eve and I have all become best friends and often double date, so it's not out in the ordinary for all of us to text or talk to each other on the phone, but normally with the other partners present. Kate asked if she can meet me after work, as she wanted to share something with me confidentially, but asked that I do not share any information with Eve. Kate said she didn't want her to know just yet, and swore me to secrecy. We agreed to meet at a local restaurant bar right after work at 5:30 p.m. When I got to the bar, Kate and John were waiting for me at a table. I wasn't expecting John to be there, and was surprised to see him. They had a drink waiting for me as I texted Kate my order prior to arrival, so they are already sitting down now and ready to talk as they all had their drinks. I could tell something was up right away, and Kate said she was going to get right to it. She said she wasn't able to go to the tattoo appointment with Eve. But spoke with her right after her tattoo was completed, and here's the bomb, she can fight it in her, that she had unprotected sex with Frank, yes. That Frank, the tattoo artist, right after he finished the job. Well, he didn't completely finish the job until he got those panties totally off and inserted his joystick, but then the job was officially finished. I guess all I could say was, Frank, are you kidding me? That's when John spoke up and said, I'm afraid not, Adam. According to Kate, she said, Eve was hysterical and was very sorry and ashamed for what she did, and wanted to take this terrible secret to the grave. She said, even though Frank is repulsive, now listen to this will drive you insane, and it's not always gamey. Why these women, She said she was oddly aroused during the tattoo process and just got caught up in the moment of what it would be like to have dirty sex with an odd eccentric guy like Frank. And then he says here, the OP, what the fuck, and I say I can't believe that a woman would do that, and I shouldn't say I can't believe because I've seen everything, and I've heard everything. Eve told Kate the experience was horrible, and she immediately regretted it. Kate said she then told Eve she must tell me immediately. After arguing, crying, and pleading with Kate to keep quiet, Eve eventually hung up on Kate and has ignored her calls and texts ever since. Kate said she immediately discussed this with John, and they both agreed that I must be told now before Eve and I were together again as man and woman, i.e. sex, so these are very good friends here. You know, a lot of times what happens is women cannot keep things quiet, so they want to share this information about them cheating or going something inappropriate with a friend, and the friend covers for him. But in this case, this is a good woman here, and she said, no, you got to tell your boyfriend. I thanked them both for being such great friends and told them I will be indebted to them forever. I told them how terrible I felt, but held it together without breaking down. Kate said she too felt awful, as she and Eve have been friends for 16 years, and she never saw this side of her prior to me. Eve had only had sex with one other guy, a boy friend she had in her freshman and sophomore years of college. Well, that's what this guy believes, but I very likely believe otherwise, because very few women out there have had only one boyfriend or two boyfriends. By the time they're 25, you definitely can multiply that times 4 or 5. I told them I would be breaking up with Eve, as cheating is a red line for me, and Eve knows this. They both understood, and Kate was very sad about the whole thing, knowing on one hand she did the right thing telling me, but also knowing she likely will lose a good friend as a result. We still couldn't get over that she had sex with Frank, of all people, not disparaging anyone's looks, but Frank would have a negative SMV, which is a sexual market value for most women. So what he's saying here is most women would be repulsed by this guy. Most women, except for Eve. Unfortunately, not to brag, but I am 6'2" with a toned body and a handsome face from what I've been told. I played sports all through high school and work out 5 days a week to keep fit. I have a degree and a great job in the IT field and have never had any issues getting women. Why would she cheat on me with someone like Frank, a man older than her father? Eve was scheduled to come to my house at 6:30 p.m. We planned to cook dinner, watch a little Netflix, and make a little love for the rest of the evening, since we missed doing so last night. Thank God you missed doing so last night, brother, because you're gonna find out that could have been the biggest mistake of your life. I didn't want to see her, and was really boiling with anger at that point, so I called her from the restaurant parking lot and confronted her, advising, I just met with Kate and John, and they told me everything about you effing Frank. She was silent, and then started crying, saying how sorry she was, and that it was a huge mistake that will never happen again. I told her I really don't care if she F's Frank from now until the end of time, as she is completely disgusting and we are done. I also called her a few choice names, which I now regret doing. I then told her not to come over tonight as I will not be home, and to never contact me again. I then told Eve to have a nice life, and ended the call. Good for you, boy, good for you. For the rest of the night, she left me over a dozen voicemails of incoherent ramblings saying how much she loved me and that she was sorry, along with nearly 40 texts begging me to please talk to her and explain herself. What was there to explain? He asked. I never responded and left all her texts unread at midnight. I got a call from Eve's mom saying Eve was distraught and inconsolable. She asked me what happened, though I wanted to blurt out what Eve had done. I said it was best that Eve disclosed the reason for our breakup with you. Her mom then asked that she cheat on you. I, again, repeated that I thought it best if Eve disclosed what she had done. I got along with Eve's parents great. I told her mom how much I appreciated her and her husband and hoped to stay on good terms with them. She repeated the same and said, "You take care, honey, and let us know if you need anything." Surprisingly, I didn't feel any emotion at this point and was proud for the way I handled the situation. I'm proud of you too, man, because that's how you should handle it. I took a shower, went to bed, and fell asleep quickly. However, the next morning I started doubting myself, but with the help of my friends and reading this online forum, I stuck to my decision of a cold, no-contact breakup with Eve. However, here's where I need your help. Okay, what help do you need? Eve had been bombarding my phone with voicemails and texts since our breakup 10 days ago. But the messages abruptly stopped recently. Yesterday, I got a call from Eve's mom, who explained that Eve was in the psych ward at the hospital, suffering from what the doctors described as a combination nervous breakdown and PTSD. Her mom said they took her to the hospital, and she was admitted as she had been making statements that she was going to end herself. Now, anytime you know someone says they're gonna end themselves, or even makes reference to that, you always have to take action on that. You know, a lot of times I know in these cheating situations the women will use that as a ploy to get pity from family members and loved ones, and the spouse that was damaged into the cheating. But anytime somebody makes that kind of statement, you always have to take it serious, which obviously her parents did by getting her to the hospital. Now here is the mic drop moment that shook me to the core. Eve's mom said that she and her husband forced Eve to get an STD test, and the results came back that she was positive for hepatitis B. Follow-up test confirmed this. This news sent Eve over the edge. Yeah, I can see why it would send her over the edge. She basically lost a great boy friend that could have been a great husband to her. She lost her best friend, and now she's got an STD that might be with her for a long, long time. So her life that was great 2 weeks ago is now total shit over something stupid that she did. I felt really terrible for Eve, and ever more thankful to Kate and John for telling me about the affair. Yeah, man, you owe them, those two, a lifetime of acknowledgement, and your thanks for sure. All right. Her mother didn't come right out and ask me, but I know she really wanted me to visit Eve based on our conversation. How I left it with these mom is that I wish to eat well, said that I would say a prayer for her, but said I wanted to avoid any further contact with Eve as it actually may make the situation worse. I had another story was very similar to this where the guy went through that kind of thinking. I think it was the first story I did on this site. He did the same kind of thinking and he came up with the same conclusion, and I agree with it. You don't want to keep interacting with this girl because it could make things worse, not only for her, but for you. She understood and said she appreciated the conversation and said she would update me should the situation take a turn for the worse. Here's my dilemma. Should I go and visit Eve or stay the course? I'm gonna tell you a really simply, guy, you need to stay the course. This woman is toxic. This woman is going to be a lifetime of problems for you. She's getting help now, psychological help. She's got her family around you. You need to leave this as a clean break. Get down on your knees. Thank God that these two friends, this Kate and her boyfriend, were really good friends of yours, and they notified you about this situation, or you would be dealing with many more problems with this woman. You potentially could have had an STD, married this woman, and your life would have been a mess. A total mess. Now, you're walking away pretty much unscathed. I feel like I might be starting to break and need some consensus feedback. Well, I just gave you my feedback, and again, I think you handled this very well. You cut her off immediately. You are holding the course. You're not going to be sucked back in. because now she's got psychological problems. All these other things going on in her life. You need to be strong. You need to look out for yourself, put yourself first, and move forward with your life. That is my suggestion to you, and my suggestion to all men out there. Like I said when I started this, you can't be too confident in your woman. That's why my strong suggestion to everyone is always use condoms. Whether you're having vaginal sex, oral sex, anal sex, and if you're going to perform oral sex on a woman, use dental dams. Why? Because situations like this can happen. You can see this isn't a hypergamy thing. This isn't somebody that this woman desired. This was just a spur of moment thing where she got aroused and dropped her drawers, and you know the deed was done that fast, and you know what if she went and told her friend Kate? This guy probably would have never known about it until one day you went to the doctor for his checkup, and his liver enzymes were high, and it turns out, hey, he has hepatitis B. So that's it for this story. If you like this story, please, hit the like button, share it with your friends, with your family, leave comments below, and please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you on the next one.